Hello and welcome back to the Sidewalk Report podcast. My name is Dante and today we are with the first responders of Newcastle. And we did have Tony here earlier and he is back doing what he does best. And so now we have four humans together, one of which is not a first responder, that would be me. We have Officer Cunningham, Officer Ryhal, and Marco Bulisco, and this is part 2 of our series on first responders of Newcastle. And so we were starting to talk about, in the break we were starting to talk about hiring events and other things that your departments are having right now. Would you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I believe we're doing a application test at the end of July at some point. If you're looking to do it, it'll be on our Facebook at some point. I know we're hiring a couple people to go to the academy, and you get paid to go through the academy. So it's a pretty nice deal.
Okay. And so you both have been through the academy. Could you talk a little bit about that, what it's like?
I went to the police academy in 2004, I believe. I'm sure it's pretty basically the same, just with the updated laws and rules. They kind of set it up like a military boot camp per se. We would stay, when I went, we stayed there in dorms, and we would get up every morning and we would have PT, and then we would have time to go back, clean up, and report the class. You'd have blocks of classes. They would touch on different laws. They would have different instructors for each block. So it's not like you would have the same professor or instructor or teacher the whole time. Most of the teachers or instructors that would come in were also in law enforcement or private law enforcement or attorneys. So they would be able to come in and instruct you based on some actual real life experience of their own, which makes it a little more interesting, makes you able to take it in a little bit more than sometimes somebody that's teaching something that never really has been in those situations.
Now you mentioned law. I didn't realize how complicated that was until I got to meet other officers, that they have to actually know what legally they can do and what legally they can say, and it's just getting more and more complicated.
It is constantly, we have constant updates yearly. There's a lot of online updates, and we touch a lot on, we sometimes have to go to calls and be someone's counselor. We have to sometimes provide first aid until the fire department and EMS can assist. And a lot of times we're asking how quick they're going to be there for that. But and then on the laws, we have to know on the fly what we need to do. Sometimes we don't have an opportunity to look back and say, I'm making the right decision here. And not all decisions are easy.
No, it sounds, I've personally seen some things, and everybody has, but you just have like a split second to decide on something and act on something. And you have to, you have so many factors you have to weigh in, like how can I solve this with the least amount of injury or, other complications. And so
Absolutely.
And so you have just a split second to make a decision that, and a lot of times they're very complicated, and then adding to the mix, you don't know if people are under the influence and things like that. Those things can get very complicated.
Absolutely. And not even with force or arresting people, just with giving people advice. You want to make sure you give them the proper advice so they can move forward in their lives the proper way without circling back around to the same issues. I think that's one of the most important things. We don't go to calls to just looking to arrest somebody. We're going to try and help their situation.
Well, I know, there was a meme that was sort of passed around the internet about what not to call 911 for. And, I thought that might get a little bit of a laugh because I was looking at the list of things that people call 911 for. And when I lived in the South, like someone actually called 911 because they didn't get like ketchup with their fries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, are there any advice on what to call for, what not to call for?
Sure. So one of the services that we provide, we provide emergency medical services to the city, and oftentimes 911 calls come in for medical situations that require care but are not emergent. Emergency situations medically are strokes and heart attacks and seizures. So if you're having chest pain or you're having severe shortness of breath, if you're having an allergic reaction with anaphylaxis or something like that, those are emergency situations, and that's what we're here to provide. If we need to provide CPR, if someone's unconscious and not breathing, opioid overdoses, but we sometimes people, especially after COVID, have turned the emergency medical system into their primary care physician. And it's not to downplay anyone's symptoms or the way that they're feeling, because we want to provide the best care and want to help, but I think we have to do a better job of educating the public that if you have arm pain, maybe that's not exactly a reason to call 911. And we do have a severe strain on our EMS system right now, not just in Newcastle, not just in Pennsylvania, but across the country. We're lacking providers. People aren't getting into the industry as much, and people are leaving the industry even quicker. So it's causing an ambulance shortage. So I'm sure if you asked residents, or maybe someone asked a question about it, there are times where our ambulance responses are delayed. And it's a benefit to be in the city because we're there to provide care in the absence of an ambulance. But those situations where people are calling maybe for something that they could either take themselves or visit a primary care physician the next day, that puts a hindrance on and a tax on that system. So we want to call in if we're having severe emergency symptoms only, to keep those resources in service.
Right.
And there are two separate numbers too. There's 911 for any emergencies, or if you feel that you're unsure, I would say call 911 and let us sort it out. We'll figure it out if there's any question at all. But there's also a non-emergency number. It's 724-656-9300, and that goes straight to the dispatchers. But it's just not an emergency line.
Yeah.
So they have that line open as well for people to call in and try to handle situations. That don't mean it's a number to just call for any questions or anything like that. But most of the time, if it's not a medical emergency, our dispatchers will just send it to the police department, and we'll do our best to sort it out. We do get backed up on some of those things, but it's what we get paid to do.
We don't want to discourage people from calling either, but you asked, so there's
Yeah.
truth in that.
Yeah, no, there's there's sort of a judgment call. Like I've lived in buildings and stuff where people would just call for things that like my roof is leaking in their apartment, and it's like, well, that's a landlord call.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the issues we have that we try and help people out, neighborhood issues, neighbors, and sometimes we ask them, hey, did you try and talk to your neighbor? And it's at the end of the day, it's about just speaking to people civilly as a human being. Introduce yourself. Some people, they've been neighbors for years, and they say, I never even met my neighbor. When did you ever get a knock on their door? And just kind of go back to old school. It worked back in the day, and people don't seem as social as they used to be, which that may solve a lot of issues.
I think a lot of that happened in COVID, that everyone just had to retract, and I think people just kind of need to know it's okay, you can get out again. You can talk to each other again. So part of that might be cured hopefully by people getting out and getting into the community a bit more.
And it's good to have a good relationship with your neighbors because you take care of each other.
Yeah.
And
So
I
are
think
there
that's important.
Now I know the fire department. I've lived around the country, and this is the first time I've seen a fire department that did so many things that our fire department here does. Like you guys do water rescue.
Sure.
And I'll also find out the other things that the police do that we're not aware of. but could you elaborate on all the things, like, not all,
Sure.
but
So,
some of the things?
Our fire department in the city of Newcastle is full-time professional. We're staffed 24/7, 365. There are 24 firefighters that operate out of 2 stations in the city. Obviously, our main job is fire suppression, but we do provide emergency medical services. We have a swift water rescue team. We have a dive recovery team that can go work with the police department to do, evidence or body removal in the event of an underwater emergency. We do trench rescue, collapse rescue, high angle rescue, which is ropes and rigging and rappelling in the event that somebody's below or above grade. And I might hazmat.
Wow.
We have a full hazmat team that's able to respond to any hazardous material incident. And we provide those services not only in the city, but we are a mutual aid responder for the rest of the county. And for specific incidents, we've been sent other places. Our swift water rescue team has been deployed, all the way. They were at Hurricane Katrina. They were at Hurricane Sandy. So we provide those services through PEMA and FEMA in the event that we're recalled for an emergency. Those teams have great participation at our department. Most of them have 15 or more members. So almost every member of the fire department participates in some technical rescue of some sort.
That's awesome. Can you folks elaborate on the different facets that the police department does?
I'm a member of the CERT team, which is a critical incident response team. We mainly deal with high risk incidents, like whether it's warrants that involve firearms, barricaded subjects like that. One just happened on Butler Avenue, which ended up the guy did leave the residence, but our knowledge was he was still in the house. There's multiple classes you have to go to down in Pittsburgh. You train with Pittsburgh SWAT, and for basic SWAT, then advanced SWAT, then there's team leader and high risk warrants. It's never ending. There's always training for it. Usually you have to have about 2 years on before they even let you think about doing it. But you can start your training after you're off probation and work with those guys, develop the abilities you need to get through basic SWAT and everything like that, and you can advance your way up through there. If you have prior military, they love that. I do not, so I'm a little lax on that one. But then we have a drone program. It's not full time. They get called out as needed. We have SIU, which he was a big player in that, so he can speak to that more.
I was a detective in narcotics for about 12 years, 10 years full time, while I was employed with the Newcastle Police Department. The narcotics group from the city has a few guys in there. One's attached with the Drug Enforcement Agency, and then another one's attached to the county. And the county drug task force has, they call it Special Investigations Unit. They cover the whole county. Then that way, the way the narcotics works, I mean, obviously it affects more than just the city. It affects the whole country, really.
Yeah.
And that's why we try to work together as a county, and we also work together with our with the state and the federal agencies, the Attorney General's office for the state, the Pennsylvania State Police, the DEA, ATF, FBI.
The whole alphabet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They all work together.
Wow.
And now our Detective Bureau, I believe it's now called our Criminal Investigative Division. They're also merging with the county, and it's for the same reasons. The crime, it spreads out. People from, a township may come to the city and commit a crime, or a person from the city may go to the township and commit a crime. When everybody's working together as a whole, then everybody has a better understanding of what's going on. Okay, I know this person, even though they're not from the city. I know them because the person that's working beside me told me about them. So there's just more communication, better communication in that regards, and it's more help. It's a lot more help. Obviously, you saw the canine. The canine, we have 2 canines.
I believe they want to get to 4 eventually.
Yeah, so we had 4 at one point. We had 5 at one point because we had 4 drug detection dogs and 1 bomb detection dog. And that was a regional bomb detection dog that was assigned for our county, which now the sheriff's department has that dog. Well, it's not the same dog. It's a new dog, but there's a sheriff's deputy that's the handler for that dog. have a motorcycle division. We have 2 motorcycles, which they're assigned to a specific officer. So we have 2 motorcycle officers. We have a bicycle patrol unit. They use that for the bigger events downtown when it's a little more congested with people and traffic, where it would be harder to get a vehicle through, a car or a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
We have guys that do public relations things. We do shop with a cop, which we extended to all the public services. The fire department's a huge help. EMS, they help. All the employees from the courthouse help, from all the different agencies in the whole area. Probation, state parole, everybody comes out. I mean, that's probably my favorite program, and that's probably our most successful program with the public. And it's just good to see the smile put on the kids' faces.
Yeah.
And something they'll never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Am I missing anything?
I think you covered it.
I'm sure I'm missing stuff.
Not that I know of. Not that I can think of right now.
I do see, sometimes I see the different vehicles, and with the police department, that, you know, we've all seen like the cruisers and such, but then sometimes I've seen the really big ones and stuff.
Well, we have a pickup truck that's used to haul more equipment for different situations in different scenarios. We've been trying to make our fleet kind of more uniform, more matching, so everything is the same. It's tough. I mean, you got to come within budgets, and you know, can't spend all the city's money,
Right.
you know, to have nice stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we've been doing a pretty good job, because there was a time where, you know, we had a lot of cars that we were driving around that were mismatched and different, but I think our fleet looks pretty good. A lot of things, we get a lot of things donated from businesses, a lot of labor for outfitting the cars gets donated. A lot of it comes from the drug seizure money from larger narcotics cases. That goes in a fund where it pays for a lot of our equipment.
That's awesome. Now, with regard to donations, is there a way that if the community wants to pitch in, I mean, do you have fundraisers that you're aware of, or can people I know you folks have Facebook pages, and that folks
that's about the best option.
So, they'd have to if somebody wanted to make a donation to the fire department outright, they'd have to contact our fire chief or the city. None of us would handle a donation, but we, as a union, so the firefighters are represented by the IAFF, the International Association of Firefighters, and our local. We do raise money and for our philanthropy that we do on our own. So we have taken donations for our scholarship fund. We have a golf outing. We raise money every year, just happened. A lot of community businesses donate to that. A lot of community members come and play. It's a great time. But we specifically do not solicit donations.
Okay.
So if you ever get a letter,
right,
phone call,
that was part of why I asked that, because I did have a lot of people saying to me that they were getting, contacted and that person was representing themselves as a member of the police department or the fire department.
If you're getting solicited for a donation from the fire department or from the firefighters union, it's going to come on an official firefighters union letterhead with our seal on it and a signature, with the golf outing sponsorship. We don't reach out for money for anything else. On occasion we've sold t-shirts, but that's all advertised through like our Facebook page. That it's us. No one's going to call you, text you, and ask for a donation for the fire department. We don't do that.
Okay. And with regard to the police department, I know you folks have the biking thing in May for the fallen, but how do folks differentiate between legit? I mean, I'm sure they could reach out to you on Facebook and say, hey, someone just approached me about that, but are you aware of any other?
I would say if there's any question whatsoever, I would always contact the police department
Yeah.
and ask if this is real or not before donating anything.
Okay.
And that goes for us too.
Yeah.
Call the, if somebody calls you on the fire department's behalf, call the police department and let them know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, typically,
Keep you
if
busy.
it's not on
Yeah.
Facebook, it's not through us. Now, I believe there was one instance, the phone calls were donations for our calendar, but it was a third-party company who was making the calendar. And so I know some people received phone calls for that, and that was a legitimate phone call, that wasn't a scam. But those shouldn't be happening anymore, cause those calendars are printed, as far as I know.
Okay. Yeah, I know that, there are still, you know, I even got something recently in the mail, you
Mhm.
know, that was saying that it was a legitimate solicitation, and I just said, I don't see anything about this, I gotta.
I would always
so-
call and check.
Yeah,
Don't
okay.
call the number on the paper in question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
look up the number and
The
make
one
sure you're
800,
calling the
yeah.
correct number.
Especially if it's like, the toll by plate stuff, there's a lot of that going
Yeah.
around, that's a
Right.
scam, yeah.
Right. And, so what is the biggest thing that, people in the community can do to help your respective agencies? That you can just, think of, like, I mean, I'm guessing, you know, this time of year, there's, be safe with fire, you know?
So Fire Prevention Month is in October, so we'll be
Okay.
out. We do a handful of campaigns for that. You'll see us with the smoke detectors. Usually we'll get the influx of smoke detectors at that time. We do try to advertise to the Facebook page, like the Close Before You Doze campaign, sleeping with closed doors. Through the schools and the preschools and daycares in the city, we try to you know, start fire prevention early, have our families build a plan, an exit plan, things of that nature. In the event that somebody specifically wants to ask questions, they can call down or stop down. We're more than willing to, you know, give fire prevention tips out. If they see us, like at the fireworks festival or in public, come up. But specifically, that's what's going to help us. Preventing injury, preventing loss, you know, those things are what's going to help us most, even more than a monetary donation or, you know, anything like that. We want to spread the word about being safe, you know, and that's going to, you know, stopping those emergencies was going to help us the most.
Do you have any thoughts with regard to the police department about prevention? Like, what can people do to make your lives easier at the police department?
I'd say utilize ring cameras if you have the ability to do so, cause they help so much.
Oh,
Whether
okay.
it be your neighbor's property or your own, they capture everything, and they've helped a lot. Cases where there might have been dead ends and someone down the street has a ring camera and the car happened to buzz by at the same time, able to identify the car and further investigation from there. And lighting outside your house.
Okay.
You can go that route.
Numbers on the house.
Yes, numbers help a
Numbers on
lot.
the house help.
Yeah, big numbers.
And I heard numbers front and back.
No, that helps.
Yeah.
Illuminated numbers, you know, anything that has a reflective is easier for us to pick up. One thing about, and I'm sure these guys will agree, we travel the streets of the city
Right.
so much. The city has a lot of nooks and crannies and undead streets, but with experience, we've all been down them, so we're all pretty familiar about how to make our way around.
Yeah.
Very rarely does an address come over where I'm stumped. And there are guys with a lot more experience than me that I work with. So if I don't know, they're guaranteed to know. So, but that will help, and then, you know, in the event of emergency.
And then, like you said, that's the biggest thing. In time, you get to know the 900 block, the 600 block
Right.
of every street, and what side of this road it's on, or what side of that road the numbers are on. But not all officers, you know, we have new officers coming in.
Sure.
We have a lot of new officers coming in that aren't even from the county.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, with the numbers on the house, illuminating the numbers, it would help for a better response from the police in case of an emergency.
Now, when you mentioned the ring cameras, is that like after an incident?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, after, like, we had the one incident up on the North Hill, guy was prowling at night, checking people's windows, doors, and probably 15 or plus people had ring camera footage of, and it was easy to identify him. We had the evidence to prosecute him and actually hold him in jail. So.
Wow. Okay, so I guess also that if people hear in the news that the police have said, like on their Facebook page or anything, can someone, you know, help us with ring footage? Is that how?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times people get a little bit nervous, maybe not knowing what may be on their cameras, or maybe they're worried about what they may do in their own time, being exposed. If we're there to, in reference to just like a specific incident, we would rather somebody be forthwith to say, hey, just wanna see this little clip, no force, because sometimes if, we're not looking to see everything, you know what I mean? If somebody wants to just share,
Right.
something that may help one of their neighbors, and again, it's to help the community, it's not to get anybody in trouble with their own stuff. We
Yeah.
would never won't say, hey, there was an incident on Friday between noon and 12:30. We want your video footage from 2 days before to 2 days after. Like,
Yeah.
We don't want to invade on anybody's privacy,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yeah, I know there was a hit and run. My neighbor's car got whacked, and so she put it out on Facebook to see if anyone had seen or heard it, but I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
she had sort of a good time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, again, some people may be a little bit afraid, even if they're not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's their privacy, it's their personal system, and they don't want that getting out or being invaded.
Mhm.
And which is very understood by us, and we're not trying to invade on anybody's privacy either. But if people want to come and help, they can come forward with whatever clip they have.
That's
They don't have
great.
to provide everything from it.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm trying to think. Let me see. We had clips of the water rescue and the training for the fire department, which was cool. You guys had put that out on Facebook, and it got a lot of positive feedback and stuff.
So in the same breath that these guys talk about the training for the activities that they do, we
Mhm.
have continuing education and training for pretty much everything, including online digital training and a lot of physical training, both in the department and outside of the department. To keep the water rescue team, there are credentials that you have to meet and
Mhm.
benchmarks that you have to meet, and then so we obviously meet those, and we train pretty hard for this because those incidents are uncommon. But it was we had a really busy week with all that rain a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
We were able to safely remove 3 victims from the water in a couple days, which is extremely rare. But we were prepared. All of our equipment lives in trailers. It's packed away, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. One of those was in the city and 2 of those were in the county. So it has become a valuable resource. Definitely something that the guys are proud of. But they're all necessary, even though it might not be something that's used on a daily basis. It's all necessary. When you have a victim in the water, you need the proper resources and properly train people to go out and get them because the situation's so dangerous. So it was great to have 3 positive outcomes that week. Be able to make an impact in that way.
And what sort of, you mentioned drones. When I lived in Atlanta, I was amazed at the drones that the police there had. I mean, one day, like, someone had taken off and the police car pulled up and he opened the back of his truck and this huge drone went out and just took up the chase, It was off-road and stuff like that, and he was informing back to the cars below, this guy went here, this guy went there. It was, it was insane. So when you guys have drones, do you all get training in drone classes and things
No.
like that?
There's specific guys who are pilots.
Oh,
for
wow.
drones. Yep, that's what they do. It's like it's a side detail for them, basically. They'll come out, assist the street crimes unit if we're doing like a dirt bike or 4-wheeler detail, where we're cracking down on them. They'll follow them with that, see where they live, and then try to go secure the bike and tow it if we need to.
Those guys have to be FAA certified too.
Yeah.
There's an
believe
FAA
so.
certification to operate those in the airspace.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. You actually have real
Yep.
pilots.
Yeah, so that's beyond, I don't know anything about it other than they help us, that's it.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. There is a group out here in Lawrence County which does pet relocation. Like if someone were out in a park and their pet took off, this group sends, they're licensed drone people, and they find a lot of, pets in the
Nice.
park and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, there's a lot, I'm sure, there's a lot of applications for, drones and,
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
does the fire department have drones?
No, we don't. Not at the moment.
Okay.
I doubt we'll be getting any. We'll probably use the police departments if we needed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for footage inside buildings that I'm not allowed, to go in.
Mhm.
Like, Shenango, China and stuff
There's
like
plenty
that.
on YouTube of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because I do a little bit of street reporting with the Sidewalk report, but I found other, people who, they themselves won't go into those places because they're dangerous and there's a lot of fumes and stuff you don't want to subject yourself to, but the footage you see on YouTube is droned.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So they
And
have,
the drone's good for a lot of things.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so much. I mean, I think ours has a thermal imager.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
day or night, you can put it up and somebody's hiding, camouflage, you could tell where they're at based on the heat source, things like that. That's why I'm kinda surprised that for things like that, I don't know if that would be helpful for you guys or.
I honestly don't know. I don't know that we'd have
Maybe
an
a
application.
search and rescue or something.
It'd be so hard to
possibly.
isolate somebody from our manpower is, I'm not ashamed to say, we're low staffed. I mean, there are 6 firefighters on duty, and when we have an incident like that, we're all hands on deck. Everybody has a specific job that needs to be done, and I don't know that we'd be able to subject somebody to that.
have one
That
person
job,
set
I mean-
aside for that one thing.
No, I just don't think that we'd be able to do it, but Ben could do it for us.
No, good. The dog's enough for me.
Yeah, and the dog has, I'm sure, like his own thermal imaging or.
Nah,
No,
that-
he can't see.
Yeah.
He can't see heat.
Yeah, he definitely.
Well, but they have superior vision and
Oh, yeah.
superior
Oh,
smell.
smell,
smell and
there's-
stuff.
Yeah, their
Oh.
smell is definitely above our, way above.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so that is episode 2 of the Sidewalk Report for the first responders of Newcastle. Newcastle Police Department and Newcastle Fire Department. Thank you for watching, and hello, and thank you for watching this episode of the Sidewalk Report. Stay tuned and keep an eye out because we will have more episodes on this and other topics. Questions, thoughts, comments? Do share. I am Dante, and this is the Sidewalk Report.